Okay, going live in three, two.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Space Update, brought to you by the fantastic Total Space Network. Coming up this week on the Space Update, we'll be talking NASA's Perseverance rover landing on Mars, SpaceX, Starship, and much more. I'm your host, Ryan, and join me today is...
I'm Mikko, the host of Deep Dive Fridays.
And let's just get to it, Miko. Launch update. Let's just start with that first. We had Roscosmos, another Soyuz rocket launching on the February the 14th. Another resupply mission to the International Space Station. Rumored to be replacing one of the existing modules on the International Space Station. Not too much information on that, but I'll bring it to you as it comes. We also had, if we just jump over to the video studio there, we had the SpaceX Starlink 19 launch the other week on the 15th also, but a little hiccup with its Falcon 9 reused booster. It's had 6 flights, but on that 6th flight, unfortunately, on descent on the landing, something went awry by the looks of it. Lost telemetry and
second
lots of
stage.
booster on that one. Not too much information as of
Computers
yet,
have
but
taken over the launch
I'm sure we'll hear
countdown.
something from
We'll
Elon
light the
very
Merlin
soon. We
engines
had
at
a lot,
about T minus 2
saw a lot
seconds, and we
of
use
plasma
TTEV
coming off that, even
stage
though the
with
main engine
the
cut off
right-hand screen being
on
the second
descent
stage,
there.
and you can
So
see
quite interesting.
SES-1, that
did lose the
MVAC
booster,
engine
but
is now
I think
glowing
the
bright
boosters,
red
Miko,
there.
correct me if they're wrong, I think 10
And in a few
reuses out these
seconds from
boosters.
now, we should have
Yeah, 10
fairing deployed.
reuses should be without major refurbishment, so
And
yeah,
there you could see
it's a loss for
the
them,
fairing has
but
deployed.
they will
As a
recover,
reminder, we will be attempting
and
to
they
recover the
may
fairing halves a
reuse
day with our
them
recovery
even
ships,
more.
Mystery and
And
Mischief.
Scott Manley did a great video about this, and he analyzed the video and thrust. So
Now, as
he was
stage 2
thinking that
heads
one of the
towards its
engines
targeted drop-off orbit, stage 1 will
lost thrust,
execute 2
so there was
burns in
like
order to make its way
25% less
back
thrust
to Earth.
on the booster
The first
compared
burn
to
is the
previous
entry burn,
Starlink mission.
and that's where
So
3
that
of the 9 Merlin 1D
that
engines will reignite,
ended up
and that'll
being
help
a hot
slow the vehicle
re-entry,
down as
and
it
the
re-enters
booster
back
didn't
into
make
the
it.
Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah, not a major problem.
The second
They've got a
burn for
few
the first
boosters
stage,
lying around.
second and final burn is the landing burn, and this is where a single engine will reignite, and that slows the vehicle down rapidly in order to touch down
just
on
to
that.
another launch just quite recently, just on the 20th, just earlier on in the week, we had the over at NASA Wallops, we had the Antares rocket on that Cygnus resupply cargo mission. The payload and rocket from Northrop Grumman. And that one launched successfully. A very good, solid rocket. That one, good performing one. And also, just really
and she broke
announced
many
earlier on
barriers,
today,
including race
China
and
officially
gender,
plans to
while
move
working
ahead
for
with their
NASA and
Super
delivered.
Heavy Long March 9 rocket. Deputy Director of China National Space Agency said the main purpose of the rocket is for crewed landing and Mars landing missions. The country may undertake may be comparable to the Delta Heavy or maybe the Falcon 9 rocket, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. China has been pushing for the human spaceflight lately. I mean, the moon mission, they did the sample return. They even made an orbital rendezvous, possibly just because of they wanted to train for the astronaut missions that way. So yeah, I think, well, 2030 is a bit late compared to United States, but they will still, I think their timelines are quite realistic.
Yeah, and this super heavy rocket from China, I believe it's 100 meters high, so just a little bit taller than the Falcon 9, so still a good sizable rocket and everything. But moving on from our launch update and everything, just announced by the UK Space Agency, the UK Space Agency and the Australian Space Agency signed a space bridge partnership between the two, which is absolutely fantastic news. The UK and Australia are going to be share future ambitions for space and have similar plans to increase the size of job creation potential for the sector. This agreement will further develop a long-standing relationship between two countries. Dates back all the way back to the 1970s from the good old Black Arrow project, launching that Prospero satellite built in Farnborough in the UK and actually launched over in South Australia. So all ties coming back together and joining forces, which is absolutely fantastic news for both the guys, everyone down in Australia watching in, and everyone in the UK. A lot of exciting projects going on in both countries at the moment. And to some more news, Virgin Galactic test launch imminent from their vehicle, but nothing confirmed yet. Still confirmed on Twitter they're doing a few checkouts on that. So hopefully we'll see the launch of their new test vehicle, which is going to be quite exciting if that's successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think they still have the goal to fly some customer passengers this year, maybe Q4. So yeah, it would be about time for them to make a successful test flight again.
Yeah, because they've done lots of test flights and everything. I think this is the critical, I think it's the final step essentially before they start bringing maybe just one or two test passengers on board just to do that one final critical test. Maybe we'll see that later in the year. And then just moving on to training NASA pilots and everything, as we've seen in some of the agreements with NASA and everything, which is absolutely fantastic. And eventually we might see that vehicle move away from America and come to the likes of the UK, further across over in Europe and everything. So it'd be absolutely fantastic that. But also, just a little bit on space related with the Virgin Galactic. We've got John Road, was previously the experience designer over at Disney Imagineering. He's coming on board at Virgin Galactic for essentially to build the whole experience, because he was I believe, designer for all the theme parks in the likes of Disneyland and everything like that. So bring a bit of sparkle and make the experience out of this world.
Yeah, absolutely. And circling back to the UK and Australian cooperation, Virgin Galactic could be flying from UK and Australia for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Essentially worldwide within reason, with any airports close to shore. Probably not mainland Europe because they need a safe zone to launch and everything if anything does go awry. So probably not mainland Europe, probably more like the likes of France, maybe Spain, Italy, and obviously Australia, like you said, Miko. But absolutely fantastic as well, and so a good experience for the experience side with John Road from Disney coming on board. So it'd be exciting to see how he builds and brings all his experience from the likes of. I don't know if you've been to Disney yourself, guys, or anything like that, but absolutely amazing stuff there. And if it's anything like that, I imagine the experience that he builds with Virgin Galactic would be absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And moving over to some slightly more minor news this week. On the 18th of February, on a distant planet far, far away at 8:55 p.m. UTC, NASA's Perseverance rover touched down on the surface of Mars on target in the Jezero crater. If you want to run that video over in the creator studio there while we just chat away. Arguably one of the most advanced scientific exploration vehicles ever created alongside Curiosity. We see some absolutely unbelievable video footage, as you can see on screen there, guys. The parachute, got the image of the parachute deploying in the Martian sky, which is a bit surreal because it was almost comparable to here on Earth. It was a bit surreal, that. And then I think the highlight was seeing the actual sky crane, essentially the reverse camera up on Perseverance facing. We got to see it flip and hop away, which is absolutely unbelievable. It's a good little touch with the videos and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And Perseverance rover has quite a bit of interesting science instruments on board. For example, my favorite is the MOXIE, which will be generating oxygen from the CO2 in the Martian atmosphere. So humans could maybe breathe the oxygen there someday.
Yeah, theoretically, that's the dream, isn't it? Hopefully, I mean again, that's probably one of my favourite ones as well. Because I mean, if they manage to achieve that, or even just a small percentage of it, if it's not quite successful, it'll still be of some use alongside systems that will eventually deploy on the face of Mars. But that video footage of the landing and everything, absolutely unbelievable. The cameras on this one compared to Curiosity, it'd be comparable to having your mobile phone camera to having a fully fledged professional camera on the Perseverance. It's just so much better. It's got I think it's 25 megapixel camera, or maybe even higher, compared to Perseverance
Yeah.
little tiny one. So we'll get to see absolute crystal clear pictures. Obviously Perseverance pictures are absolutely unbelievable, traveling around on Mars and everything, but Curiosity even, sorry. But Perseverance should be that next level up, alongside. I think we get to hear some of the audio, because they are recording audio on this, but I don't believe they recorded it on the landing, as far as we're aware.
Yeah, they failed to record the audio on the landing, but after the landing, they did have a recording for us to listen. There was, well, Martian wind, which kind of sounded like an Earth wind.
Yeah, very familiar. So a lot of people are doubting, like, is it actually genuine? It sounds a bit too familiar, but it's got an atmosphere. It's got some sort of weather system there. Obviously, the dust storms and everything. So plenty of wind there. So a lot of familiar sounds. I think the biggest one will be when Perseverance will be trundling along. You'll hear the gravel or the ground just crumbling as the rover skips along, or when it's working away with the lasers or whatever other equipment it's using, the drilling equipment and everything. It'd be absolutely fantastic. And over on Twitter, I tagged in NASA, like, hypothetically, if you can create sound with the Perseverance rover and hear sound, is there any chance you could set up a little playlist and we could play our favorite songs out on Mars and hear it? But yet to hear back from NASA, so fingers crossed for that one. Hopefully we can turn our favorite tunes up to 11 and blast them out on Mars and hear them back here. It'd be absolutely awesome, that. But be a good little fun one to do. But there's lots of little trinkets on Perseverance compared to Curiosity as well. We've seen lots of little inscriptions and markings and paintings. I think the most amusing one was we always see the family pictures on the back of cars with the little characters and everything. I believe there was one with the rovers, with the little tiny rovers that started off on Mars, and then you got some of the bigger rovers and everything, and then the larger Curiosity and Perseverance. I thought it was quite a quirky touch, but I think there's quite a few numerous other little inscriptions on the rovers and that.
Yeah, there's a lot of those things. And did you fly on board, Percy?
I did. I literally, I think when they first announced it, probably over a year ago now, or even more, when they first done it, I got my name and my wife's name, Alicia, up on there. So our names are definitely engraved on there, because we were one of the first couple of thousand people that done it. So we're 100% on there, engraved and everything. So it's just a bit surreal to think that our names. I know yours is most likely on there, Miko, as well, and some of the other guys from the team as well. It's just incredible to think that our names are engraved on that little rover. It'll be there for many years to come, and maybe long after Earth is obliterated to God knows what. And hopefully we'll made it to Mars by then. Hopefully.
Yeah, my name is definitely there, and hopefully both of our names will be flying to the moon pretty soon.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll jump into that a little bit, but SpaceBit on their little rover on the Vulcan rocket later this year, all the lunar rovers. There's a few various other people putting their names up on there, but ours will be actually walking on the moon. It won't just be landing there. So a little bit going that extra little bit mile kind of thing, albeit just a few meters maybe, but still exciting. But yeah, absolutely incredible perseverance, and quite interestingly, some of the very first pictures, we've got a good panorama picture from the Perseverance with the main camera and everything. But it's quite interesting. They pointed out quite a few like bedrocks just surrounding the vehicle. There was some light rocks on the ground, and then literally a few meters away there was some dark rocks, and then literally a few meters away from that again there was some like porous volcanic rock of some sort with holes in or something like that. So already lots of points of interest just within a few meters of Perseverance. So on day one, they could just get to work straight away, observing different types of rocks on the essentially what would have been the seabed of a lake of some sort, or a water flow. Because obviously the Jezero crater had an entrance and an exit, so hopefully lots of good material that we can find and find lots of exciting stuff there.
Yeah, and I think they landed actually in a pretty good spot. There was some kind of delta, and within like few dozen meters from the rover, there's like two kinds of ground, where there was water and where there was not water, if I understood correctly.
Yeah. I think the target on the Jezero crater, I believe they were just something like half a kilometer off or something like that. So literally almost bang on target. Like they couldn't have got any perfect of a landing. Well, they could have, but it was like on the bullseye pretty much. So it just goes to show how unbelievably, I think it's a bit underappreciated because it looks that effortless when you watch it on the video, but you just got to think that there's different computers driving each individual engine on that Sky Crane, and there's a different computer to navigate how close it is to the ground, another computer for the orientation of the vehicle, and another computer when I've got to let go of Perseverance, and then there's another computer to think of. It's just dozens and dozens of things and billions of lines of code that just all got to work by themselves without any human interaction in that 7 minutes of terror, without anyone interfering with it. It's just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, spinning back to Curiosity all those years ago, when they first done it, I mean, previous to that, we were bouncing rovers across the Mars in essentially airbags. Cost millions and billions of dollars, pounds, whatever. It's an absolute nightmare of a way to land on Mars. So when that Sky Crane idea came across, it was just like, it's going to be insane if this actually works. It's a completely different idea, and when it did work, the Curiosity was absolutely mind blown, and that's what really sparked it for me all those years ago, for just to get back into space, and I get to see it again with Perseverance, even better, with even better cameras and even better science equipment on there. It's just going to be absolutely unbelievable. We're going to see some amazing things come in the coming weeks, months, and years ahead, because this rover is going to be going for a good 10, 15 years, or maybe even more, and hopefully there's rumors that the two rovers one day might meet up and have a selfie together, which would be quite kind of cool, I think. Maybe they might be able to help each other out and service each other if they need. Curiosity needs a hand to keep going for a little bit longer.
Yeah, that would be great. And one of the great things I have heard about the Sky Crane, I think it was the least crazy idea they came up with.
Yeah.
And it's
makes
pretty
you think,
crazy.
what else would they actually have planned other than the Sky Crane?
Yeah.
Maybe a giant starship just hovering and just like levitate down from that, but who knows? But absolutely unbelievable, and congratulations to all the NASA team and NASA JPL and everyone. Just unbelievable achievement and a lot of excitement, things to come in the future. And jumping over to SpaceX, just to finish up on that, I say finish up, there's quite a bit to talk about, really. We had a static fire from serial number 10 Starship up to 10. This is going to be the third vehicle to attempt the 12-kilometer hop, I believe. Hopefully, we'll get a landing this time around. But from that static fire that happened the other night, one of the engines was a bit misbehaving, apparently from Elon. So we've seen earlier on today one of the engines new engines been trundled down the road one to be taken out, one to be refitted. No indication on what serial number that is, but nevertheless, an engine needs to be took out, a new one needs to go on, and we'll most likely see another static fire prior to that launch of 12 kilometers again.
Yeah. For a guess on the engine, I think they actually mounted one engine that already flew on SN5 or SN6. So that could be the engine that had trouble.
Yeah, it was SN39, I believe, one of the older engines, albeit they're fairly similar within reason.
I think it was SN28 or something like that, so a bit older even.
Yeah, but nevertheless, I believe they're in the mid-50s now, the serial numbers of the engines. So when you consider using the mid-50s engine, like version 55, if you like, at this current time, I think, and they're using version 28 or 39, whichever one you go with there. It's quite interesting that they're still using some of the older engines. It must have quite some confidence in the older engines as well as the new ones.
Yeah, seems like that. And for the 10 or 12 kilometer flight, they actually have a problem with the engines being too powerful. So they have to throttle them down quite a bit so they can perform the flight without going too high.
Yeah, I mean, on that hop that you've seen twice now. I believe the engines. I think Elon said the engines are actually performing under 50%, well under 50%. So it makes you think, like, if you just run the engines at 70%, that thing's just going to catapult off the launch pad. But they don't necessarily need to do that because it's just a test to get it off the ground, do that flop, and try and get it to land with the landing legs that they've got in place at the moment. But got improvements to the landing pad itself. I believe they enlarged it. I believe that's for the super heavy booster testing, I believe, in future. They've extended that, just poured the concrete on that and everything. But we've also seen SN11. That's pretty much ready to go. So, albeit if something goes awry with SN10, again, we'll have another Starship rocket ready to go within the matter of weeks again. So we'll just be rolling again with another static fire and another hop and a test and engine swapping and everything again very soon. And then once that's over, we're heading quite rapidly towards SN15, that magical number that Elon's saying there's going to be major upgrades to it. But at the moment, it looks fairly similar, doesn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, it's fairly similar, but there are, for example, changes in the thrust pack, and I don't think there's changes in the steel material, but yeah, there's quite a bit of small changes, and I do hope they will try again with the Artigenius pressurization system.
Yeah, and like they're using that system again, and I believe at some point they're going to switch over the, like I think you just said there, me go switch over the RCS. They're eventually going to switch over to the hot gas RCS, which will be a lot more powerful. They're currently using the cold RCS, I believe. They're going to switch over to that eventually, and we've seen a few pictures in some of the high bays for whether it's SN16 or 17 or further along. There's a section of the body of Starship with a full heat shield on. But whether that'll be an orbital test vehicle or just purely another hop, we don't know yet. But that's in one of the tents. Someone got a sneak peek of that one of the guys from NASA Spaceflight or something. So have a dig around for that image. It's quite interesting, that one, because you could just see it in the tent, just half steel, then half dark, and just an indication that one side's completely tiled with those hexagonal tiles. But I think it'd be unbelievable just to see the Starship fully half and half with half the tiles and everything. It'd be absolutely unbelievable. But we've still got to see SN 7.2 pop, haven't we? Which is just next door to SN 10 at the moment.
Yeah, I think the full heat shield version will be trying to go to orbit at least. Or if not orbit, then let's say 50 kilometers, and it will turn its engines on and try to speed up to the atmosphere so it can really test those heat shields. And the Angry Astronaut, who's our Patreon, is actually on the site at the moment. So he's been sending some pictures and video from Boca Chica.
And he's been on the scavenge trying to find parts. Where he's found some, I don't know yet. But
he has.
Yeah, I think
he has a piece.
A little bit of trouble, but hopefully he'll just keep one in his pocket, I think, and do a runner with that one.
Yeah.
But absolutely fantastic. I mean, you're over in Finland, I'm in the UK, so fortunately we'll have to wait a little bit longer with everything going on in the world until we get over there to see any of the developments over there. So hopefully things calm down. But we've seen some development on the BN1 Super Heavy booster as well. So I believe maybe the end of next month we might see the testing with the Super Heavy booster.
I think that's a bit too optimistic.
Come on.
Let's say let's say 3 months.
3 months? I think a bit sooner than that. I think at the end of next
and I
month.
hope.
I bet you. Right now, Michael, I'm saying the end of next month. What are you saying? 2 or 3 months?
3 months in May.
I'll hold it to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's lots more still to come from SpaceX and Starship. Obviously, they're still developing the oil rigs for the sea launches and sea landings, Phobos and Demios and everything. So lots of developments going on there, coming probably over the next year or so with that. So plenty to do with those. And Elon hinting that he might go bankrupt trying to develop those. That's quite interesting. Just give you all his billions of wealth. He won't be the number one richest man in the world for very long if he's spending all those millions of billions on these oil rigs, I'll tell you now. But I'm sure Elon isn't bothered about that fact. To the end of the day, he's piling all his money into the fantastic companies that he's running. So
yeah, I think if they are going to go bankrupt, it's not going to be the Starship. It will be with Starlink if it happens to fail somehow. But I do think it's already starting to seem like it's going to be a success.
Yeah, when Elon's involved, it just can't fail because he finds it everywhere, every backup plan humanly possible by the sound of it. A plan A and a plan A, plan B, plan C, and even plan D, quite possibly. But lots of fantastic things coming along. And Elon, funnily enough, he hinted at that where he finally confirmed anyway. A lot of people were skepticizing it and everything, but the Starships will actually be launched from Boca Chica to the essentially the launch pads out at sea, which is quite interesting, rather than carting them over in ships or whatever. So they'll just launch from down in Texas, going to a suborbit launch in the mid-Atlantic or wherever they may be around the world. Elon literally said wherever the platform is, they'll just get a Starship or suborbital and just land it on the platform rather than transporting it. Because at the end of the day, if it can land there within a matter of minutes, why spend hours, days, and all that effort trying to transport it? But then again, it's putting a lot of faith in that vehicle landing there.
Yeah, absolutely. We speculated on that quite a bit on one of our deep dives with Felix from What About It. And yeah, we both thought that the Starships will be hopping from Boca Chica to the sea launch sites.
it's finally been confirmed by Elon, so we can all put that one to bed and jump on all the other guesses and assumptions that we're seeing from the on the oil rigs and everything. So lots of developments still to come from Starship. So we'll have more updates next week on all that and everything else. Thanks again for joining us on this week's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed the episode today. I've been Ryan from the Space Update.
And I've been Mikko, the host of Deep Dive Fridays.
And as always, a big thank you to our Patreon supporters, Anthony Mann, Warhawk, The Angry Astronaut, Howard Walker, Sammy Oscuro, What About It, To The Future, Garo Bagalari, Framrick, Susie, and Mako. If you would like to support what we do here at Total Space Network and gain access to exclusive content, early access to episodes, and even speak to special guests behind the scenes, like on future shows and everything, head over to patreon.com/Total Space. And where else can you catch us, Mikko?
Well, you can listen to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and we have a website at totalspace.net, and you should also follow our Twitter account at totalspacenet.
And also over on the website, we've got a merch store there. If you go over on the website, the totalspace.net, click on the merch store, and there's lots of awesome Total Space merch up on there. You can be part of the Mikko fan club, part of the Become a Multiplanetary Club, or the Space Update and everything. So lots of merch up there. If you want to get yourself a mug, a t-shirt, or whatever you want, it's all up there. And as always, like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube.